On today's video, we're going to take one apple, turn it into two different kinds of oatmeal. We've got overnight oats and stovetop oats. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to One Dish, Two Ways. I'm Sheila and Joe's behind the camera. So today's another video about something you can do with the apples after you've been to the orchard. And this is my apple pie oatmeal made two different ways. So we're going to start with the overnight oats, and then we're going to do the stovetop oats, and then we're going to give them a try. So before we came on camera, I went ahead and cut up one medium to large apple. I mean, it's really not an exact science. I do give you exact numbers in the recipe, but it can be varied. So I've done half the apple for each one. And so we're going to start with the mason jar. You know, I've told you I save all the mason jars for this is like what I call jelly size, if you will. I think it's a 16 ounce if you actually had a mason jar. And then another key item are these mason jar what do you call this? Funnel. Thank you. Because I usually will make 2 or 3 of these so that I am ready for the week. I have no problem. I love overnight oats. I like the texture because really what's happening is your oats are being cooked overnight because of the milk and the ingredients that you have. And when I say cooked, I just mean it makes the oats, it softens them up. And I like the texture of that. I like the stovetop too, but this is convenient, and I'll show you why it's so convenient. So we're going to start with our oats. This is our apples. This is approximately a half cup of the diced apples. I dice them small. It could be a little bit more, it can be a little bit less, just a matter of what'll fit in your jar. And then I always keep a half cup measure in my oats. I always buy the oats in bulk. These are standard old-fashioned oats. You won't get the same texture if you use steel cut for sure. Those really do need to be on the stove. And then if you use old fashioned, it's just quick oats is going to be mush. So I don't recommend. This is definitely just for old fashioned oats. Now let's add our spices and seasonings. So we're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon. Of course, it can be a heaping teaspoon, as mine is. And for sweetener, we're going to add a tablespoon of, well, first let's add our flaxseed. And I add the flaxseed for my omegas. So I just get ground flaxseed. I keep it in the fridge and all is good. So I've got a tablespoon of that. And then I want to do a tablespoon of maple syrup. Now this is where if you have a flavored maple syrup, you could do that too. Okay, and now we need to add 3/4 cup of plant-based milk. Now, if you this is the apple ones. A lot of times I make them with frozen fruit. So as the fruit defrosts in the fridge, it also adds to the liquid. So you might want to play with it. And the first time I started making overnight oats, I just followed someone's recipe. And then I figured out, did I like it more creamy? Was it too thick for me? And I will say the apple ones, and I'll show you just in a second, they're a lot thicker because it's not like the apples are defrosting or anything. So we've got 3/4 cup of the plant-based milk. This is just
It's just oat and almond.
Yeah, this one's oat and almond. I have several different kinds in my cupboard. Sometimes I buy Plant Strong, sometimes I go to Trader Joe's and buy them. Well, never had this happen. Maybe I added too much of the other stuff. Here, let me do this. I know there's room. There you go. I just had to make the room happen. Okay. So then you can stir, I shake. Get me a little arm workout in. And the apples do not turn, and you'll see that here in a second. You just mix them up really good and then put them in the fridge. And then I'll show you what to do afterwards. But I did do this batch 2 days ago as I've been testing different ways I've been wanting to do it. And I'm not sure if Joe can see that. You can see those are really thick. So I'm going to show you. I'm going to make Joe's, and then we're going to come back and show you how to serve. And you see that the apples have not turned or anything. And I'll show you how I actually serve these. So let's take Joe's apples over to the counter or to the stove. And I also need the flax and the cinnamon. So Joe's, I've got a big pot because I've had issues with them overflowing. So I always use a bigger pot than what I think I'm going to need. So I'm going to turn the pot on medium, and I'm going to put my 1 cup of water in. You can double, triple. If you got a family of 6, just keep up in this. You just need double the amount of water to the oats. And we need actually the oats. So you want to get the, now I had a hard time, Joe will, my family will tell you that oats have been a love-hate relationship for me for many times when I first started this lifestyle and I would try to eat oatmeal. It's a texture thing for me. And so I would have this nasty look on my face as I tried to get used to oats. But I have gotten used to oats. Number one, I love them because you can make them into a sweet treat that's non-guilty. They also fill me up, and they just, like, if I'm ready to go for a hike or have a big day of cleaning or something like that, I love the way oats make me feel. So that's always a good thing. But it's been kind of a challenge to learn how to cook oats. And I remember the first time I made oats for Joe and I, they were perfect when I served my bowl. And by the time Joe got his bowl, it was just thick. And he's like, what is over here? So I've had to learn how to make oats better and the way that we both like them, because we like them more creamy than thick. So it would just depend on what you like. Depends on what you're going to do.
It was concrete, but it was.
Yeah. And I've been to a hotel with my mom and had like the hotel oatmeal. And she's like, you look like that is disgusting. But I couldn't make it creamy enough. They didn't have non-dairy milk, because most places when they give you oats are made with water. So if you are, need it to be non-dairy, that'll work. But then if you want to add more creaminess to it, it's a lot harder to do that. So this is taking a little bit to get up to temp. But while this is getting up to temp, I am going to take the overnight oats and put them in the microwave. 90 seconds is the perfect amount of time, because many times I will literally be eating them out of the jar as I sit at my desk. I've been known to take it in the car if I have to travel somewhere for work, and then just eat them right out of the, but in this case, I'm going to pour it into a bowl so I can show them to you. So I'm going to put those in the microwave real quick because this water is almost coming up to a boil. And then I'll just let them sit in there while we wait for Joe's to get ready. So the water is starting to come to boil. You don't want full on boil, but you need it so that you can get everything to start cooking. And the other thing I like about oats is you can make them savory or sweet. You got some black beans and some salsa and maybe some peppers and onions. Add that to your oats and you can have savory oats, a little bit of nutritional yeast. You could add mushrooms to it. Oh, mushrooms and some kale is really good. I'm trying out this week some oat groats, which that's like the whole oat. And this week I made it jambalaya style in the Instapot. And boy, I had one bite yesterday as I was prepping. So good. I cannot wait to eat those. So it doesn't always have to just be sweet. It can be savory also. Okay, so the oats are starting to, or the water is starting to come to a boil. So I'm going to go ahead and start adding the ingredients. So we're going to have our half cup of oats. I definitely want to go ahead and add our half cup or a little bit more of the apples. And while I continue to, because now I've just put stuff in there. Now the temperature of the water has gone down. So I'm going to let this stay doing what it's doing while I add the seasonings. We're going to add a teaspoon of cinnamon, heaping teaspoon. There we go. We're going to add a tablespoon. This is a half tablespoon, so we're going to add 2 of these. We're also going to add the flax here. Whoop. And in this one, Joe does not like the texture of overnight oats. So this was like another great video to show you the 2 different things. But if you don't want to do maple syrup, you can also do brown sugar, or this is pure maple syrup sugar. So they just, after they have the maple syrup, they turn it into sugar. So I bought this at a farmer's market this summer. So I'm going to, ooh, it smells so good. And I'm going to add a tablespoon of that. So it doesn't matter which sweetener you like, or you might not want any sweetener in it. So, and you can use this in the overnight oats too. I just think the maple syrup just dissolves better. Okay, so now we've got our seasoning in there. Now we're going to turn this down a little bit because, like as he said, you do not want it to turn into concrete. Already smells like apple pie in here. Now, if you like your apples cooked a little bit more, you could also cut up the apples, put a little bit of water in a cup, and then put it in the microwave for like a minute, and that softens the apples even more. Then you could add your oatmeal topping, and it could be a different way to eat it because you could have your oatmeal topping dry, and it'd be more like a little apple pie crisp. But look how fast that's coming together. Like it takes no time at all. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn it off, cover it. We're going to let that sit while I show you how I get mine prepped, and then we're going to come back and finish Joe's. Oatmeal takes no time at all, which makes it a great breakfast option. And if you're someone that needs to do a little prep in the morning, you could put your pot out. You could put your water actually in the pot and cover it. You could have your oats sitting there and all your seasoning, and then all you have to do in the morning is turn that water on, add your oats, and you can feed everybody. Or you can do like I do and do a bunch of the overnight oats. Because I'll line up 3 or 4. So this is mine. Let me get it out of here. It is slightly warm. Look at that, 90 seconds, and it's already ready to go. Like, I just love this. And now, because it is a little thick, I'm going to add a little bit of plant-based milk to mine, just to thin it out some. You could add more fruit. You could add nuts if you wanted. Whatever your little heart's desires. I mean, like I said, oatmeal is just such a blank slate. And it smells just like an apple pie. Oh my gosh. So see, this is perfect texture for me. Just right there. And you see those apples? Now, obviously they're not cooked, so they're going to be a little more crunchy than like Joe's apples will be. But that's fine with me. Or I could cook it a little bit longer and make it. But this is going to be perfect for me. So let's go back and get Joe's. Perfect, perfect. Put it into his bowl. Again, it might be an experiment if you're not someone who's historically used to eating oats. I need a spoon for you. Is yours creamy enough, honey, or do you want some plant-based milk? Okay. You can also do all milk as you're cooking it instead of water. I just always cook with the water. And then there was one more thing, another tip that I have, but I don't remember what it was. So come on in and give yours a try. Now, his are clearly way hotter than mine. Mine are still hot, but not as hot as his. But I can't wait to eat this. Hot. Yes. You need any more cinnamon or maple syrup? There you go. So see, that's another thing. I went on vacation with my friends for our 50th, and I did an oatmeal bar for them. I made oatmeal. Then I had milk to the side. I had some dried cherries. I had maple syrup. I had the maple syrup sugar. I had some berries. And everybody made their own oatmeal bowl, and it was perfect. Oh, I was going to say, if you've got some overripe bananas, you could also mash your bananas and add that to your oatmeal, and that could be an extra sweetener for you because bananas, especially when they're ripe, they are super sweet. So, and they make your oatmeal even creamier. So, and I've even cut up the bananas, put them in like I do the apples and with the berries, and let it go overnight, and they're perfect. Oh, sorry, they are perfectly fine. And how's yours?
Good.
Did you want to try mine? He's not a fan of the overnight texture.
Well.
But.
Yeah, it needs to be cooked a little bit more, but.
I like it this way. So there you go.
It's not a bad flavor.
Mm-hmm.
But the secret about oatmeal, like she mentioned, is knowing when to stop cooking it. Because the carryover will really just thicken it up and turn it into mush. Now you can add more liquid to kind of bring it back, but you know, as you're going along. And we've done just plain oatmeal, cinnamon oatmeal, like she said, different fruit. I like maple syrup. It kind of helps sweeten it, but it also adds that maple flavor. And it goes well with the cinnamon as well. But it works with the apple. I wouldn't, first time doing it with apples, so it actually works good with the apple cinnamon as well.
And it gives you another way to use up those apples, especially if you got apples that maybe we like the crispy ones, like the Gala and the Fuji and the Honeycrisp. And we went to the store last week and I thought that's what I picked up. But then when he started eating the apples during the week for his snack, he's like, these aren't as crispy on the inside. Maybe I picked up, you know, sometimes you see the sign and someone's put the wrong apples in there. I don't know if that's what I did, but it's another way to use up the apples if maybe they're a little bit older for you, or maybe they're not the kind you thought you bought because you picked up the wrong ones, which, like I said, I've done. It's just an easy way to use up apples. So let us know in the comments, are you an oatmeal person? And if you are, tell me your secret ingredient that you like to use in your oats. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope you have a great week. See you next week.